Hey, hi, hello, thanks for clicking in to the Unbiased Report of MSG by moi. You can see here we sprinkle a basic solution of salt, oxygen, hydrogen onto our acidic compound. We throw the H2O in the trash and we are left with our monosodium glutamate.
MSG.
I began to collapse.
The pain was just unbearable.
Turns on this headache mechanism and makes you hurt.
Migraines, throat swelling, diarrhea, vomiting, irregular heart.
The most important ingredient, MSG. How can you miss the king of flavor? What does MSG taste like? MSG tastes like umami. Umami flavor is the best flavor. The basic taste is sweet, salty, sour, bitter. All I want is umami taste. Umami tastes like happiness. It tastes like first love. Tastes like warm embrace from your lover. Next time you feel lonely, just eat some MSG.
You can see we're left with 2 chlorine, 10 hydrogen, 1 nitrogen, 1 sodium, and 5 oxygen. So now we know how MSG is made, which taste receptors that it plays with, and we have also learned that it can cause some people to have some serious side effects. One question I find myself pondering is whether or not the MSG releases dopamine into our brain.
I'm watching someone's wife who is supposedly cheating on her husband. The husband is suspicious because she's been feeling sick lately and seems to go to the doctor a lot. Every day, the sick lady goes to lunch at a Chinese restaurant. But she never meets a lover. Wait a minute. Why didn't I think of this sooner? Maybe it's the food. The glutamate, MSG. I've often heard it's bad for you. I sit down at the next table and devise a plan. I want to find out about the glutamate. I smuggle my special mini-cam into her food. Now I can follow the glutamate inside her body. Researchers have conducted studies and found out that most people don't have problems digesting glutamate. But there are some people who are overly sensitive, who react with numbness, dizziness, cold sweats, and nausea. Even asthma attacks can be triggered by MSG. But this rarely happens. There is one problem with all these studies. Every organism reacts differently. Yes, well, maybe my client is overly sensitive. And she has mentioned headaches. It is usually well protected, and glutamate can't reach it. But this barrier can become porous if confronted by large doses of glutamate. This may also happen to patients with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or after a stroke. In such cases, glutamate can make their conditions worse. Too much MSG could throw off the natural balance, because there are already large amounts of glutamate in everyone's brain, as a neurotransmitter connecting the cell's activities. So, that's what it is. This stuff shouldn't be underestimated. Wait a minute. That's the guy who hired me. I guess he feels badly now and wants to make peace. My investigation seems to have smoothed things out. My job is done, I guess. But maybe this woman should really see a doctor. Maybe it is the glutamate that's making her sick.
Purified MSG wasn't a thing until 1908, when a Japanese chemist realized that the base made from kombu seaweed in his soup imparted a delicious flavor that wasn't one of the 4 previously established tastes. He soon isolated the crystalline salt of glutamate from the kelp, striking culinary gold. He called the crystals Ajinomoto, which means essence of taste, and it wasn't long before MSG became commercialized. In Asia, it was branded a staple for any modern cook, and quickly became ubiquitous in kitchens across Japan and China. By the early 1930s, it it had gone global, with companies like Heinz and Campbell's adding MSG to their products. And even the US military hopped on the MSG train. During World War II, the Army used the best available food science to develop nutritionally dense rations with long shelf lives, called K-rations. But soldiers hated them because they were super bland. So in the late 1940s, they started adding MSG to them, and suddenly they weren't so reviled. Our universal love for MSG isn't just from its savory goodness. Studies have shown that umami functions as a flavor enhancer, creating a harmony between various flavors and aromas and adding a sort of dimension to both, a phenomenon known as umami synergy.
Umami.
That sixth flavor. Special thing that everybody's reaching for now.
Right.
Chefs are going crazy over this. They're going back to using MSG because of it.
Right. So I think probably in this audience, most people are familiar with umami. It's the fifth receptor that's on the tongue. It is activated by glutamate and a couple of other amino acids. A chef, you can realize that umami taste plays well with other things. My part, if I want to leave you all with one idea tonight about sensation, it's this. There is no pure sensation. You can't experience the external world in a purely veridical, logical way. Your sensory system is not designed to give you the most accurate representation of the external world. It is designed to give you what, through millions of years of evolution, it thinks you most need to survive. By the time you have any sensation from the external world, it is going to be combined with your life experience, as you spoke of, your culture, and it will evoke emotion. So there is no sensation without emotion. And this is true for the sensations evoked by food, and then it's true for the sensations evoked by everything. I think there isn't pure emotion. I'm saying there's no pure sensation.
Pure sensation. Well, even sensation.
Right. I think that that any time you have a sensation, you have emotion that goes along with it.
Okay.
And when you don't have that emotion, things feel really odd. Let me give you an example. When you're really hungry and you eat a bite of food that you find delicious, oh boy, that first bite tastes great, right? And then you keep eating and you eat another bite, another bite, another bite, and maybe the last bite you take before you stop isn't nearly as good as that first bite, but it's okay, and then you stop. If we have someone in the brain scanner at that very moment, and we are looking at their pleasure circuitry, the activation of the pleasure circuitry completely tracks with the subjective experience, in the sense that the very first bite produces a big activation of the pleasure circuit, and a bite in the middle, a smaller one, and the very last bite before you stop, a smaller one yet.
So now we know how MSG is made, what has it in it naturally, when it was specifically found. We know that glutamate is a neurotransmitter, and we can understand that sensations are not emotionless experiences. I thought doing this report would clear everything up for me, but it seems that I'm left with more questions than answers.
Before MSG, Uncle Roger life in shambles. Ex-wife Auntie Helen left, took everything. I become homeless, sitting on street. Then one day a kind stranger came over to Uncle Roger, sprinkled MSG on me, and next thing you know, I bought this orange polo.
There is some evidence that there is going to be a sixth taste receptor that's about to be identified, and it's going to be, drumroll, the fat receptor.
Have you done studies with MDMA and emotion?